have 10 good minutes of being a sculptor. You have 5 minutes when you come up with the idea and you figure out something, and this is really an interesting model. After maybe like hundreds of models, you know, you say, well, this is teaching me something. And then you have 5 good minutes when you install it and it's done. And then the 2 years in between are just labor. So when you're done with a piece, you get to have this question about whether your first 5 minutes led to the correct last 5 minutes, and whether your ideas were right, and you get to question your assumption and to see whether you achieved what you were looking for with this particular piece. And that's the artistic experience. The void area itself, when you're looking through it, is that the piece has a quiet twist to it. So the piece was based upon the idea of a diagonal cut and 2 planes that slightly counterbalance each other with basically a hole, a void, cut in the middle. Now that void has the same dimensionality that it actually bends. So that really what I'm doing is I'm bending the nothing. So that I'm creating volume with something that is not there. So when you look through the piece, the idea of something and nothing become a dialogue with each other, and you'll see that that void space actually creates almost like a diagonal plane, which is what the piece is about, framing the landscape. And so in some sense, then I'm going back to the idea of I'm a landscape painter, because when you're looking through that vista, it's a landscape that will allow a viewer to look through that world in a way that is different than any other view that they will have. And you're going to find generations of people that are going to stand right behind that open vista with the view of that piece in relationship to the chapel and the other grounds, and they're going to have that sweet spot. They'll be curious, how that actually evolves for the campus and community. Sculptures have these curious kinds of questions that'll pop up, and we'll see how the piece works for the campus. It will create its own dialogue over the course of time. And remember, first thoughts are not second thoughts. And it's fun to discuss things too. And somebody says, like, look, what is this thing? And I say, well, and somebody else will say, well, I think it's that or that. That's interesting. And it doesn't hurt anybody, It makes for a, let's say, it makes for the ability to have a conversation about something that is different than other kinds of conversations. We're so pragmatic in the sense that we're trying to figure out like what we need, where we need to go, what we need to do, who we need to pay, that kind of thing. That just the sheer pleasure of taking a moment and just saying, well, we're here, we're looking at the world, just like, let me just change this moment of looking for a second or 2 seconds for you. And that's how we look at the world through the eyes of an artist, and rather than the eyes of how you're supposed to function in life. And so I'm hoping that that's what I achieved. If the piece has an essential rightness about it, eventually the human mind starts to feel comfortable with the language, and will say, oh, I enjoy looking at it, and you'll find that if you walk by the piece and you say, oh, I like it from it's fun to look at, it's a neat view, I like it, that's pretty gosh darn good.